Is it morning still? Good morning. And welcome. It's good to see you all, although I can't really see you all. I can only see Heather and Kamal, but virtually it's good to have you with us. So today's webinar is a bit of a brief over the recent release of Agent 365 by Microsoft. A bit around agents, which kind of gives us a bit of context as to why Microsoft have come up with this product to help us begin to govern the agents that are being built and rolled out into our workplaces at the moment, and also a lot of those third-party agents that are starting to prop up from our partners, those third-party agents. So, bit of a brief for myself. I'm Chris Freeman. I work within the pre-sales department of Trustmark Ultima. So I work within business applications and AI. So pretty much diverted. What's the word? Pretty much all on Copilot, and with a past within M365 admin. That's why when I saw Agent 365, my ears pricked up and I was kind of interested in it all. So that's all good. I'll pass over to you, Heather. Just give yourself a bit of an intro.
Yeah, thank you so much. My name is Heather Perriam, and I lead the Business Solutions and AI team over here at Trustmark. So our team focuses on everything in the Power Platform, Copilot Studio, and Microsoft AI space. And with that, I will turn it over to Kamal.
Thanks, Heather.
We've lost you. We've lost sound. Someone's hit mute.
Sorry.
No. Okay.
There we go.
Now, yeah, take two. Morning, all. Thank you very much for being with us here. And my name is Kamal Gaishan, and I head up the Microsoft Security, Compliance, and Identity practice at Trustmark Ultima. I would like to kind of introduce myself as a kind of a net promoter of Microsoft Security and Compliance technologies. Over to you, Chris.
That's it, isn't it? That's the lot of us.
Yeah.
So just a bit of a run through of what we're going to cover off. So Agent 365 is a pretty humongous tooling. So we're going to give you pretty much an overview of what we think's best in it and a context around there. So we've got the agent explosion, which is a cracking name for what's happening right now, a bit like the Teams channel explosion. And then what that feeds into is that governance challenge that inherently kind of gives us after that explosion we have to control. And then we talk a bit more around the tool Agent 365 and what we can use within that to help us, and also the information that it kind of uncovers for us in the other panels, so within Purview and things like that. Section 4 is a bit of a take quick action. So just some of the things I've picked out that I think would be helpful for me as an admin, having to deal with these pesky agents. And then hopefully some time at the end where we can listen to some of your questions that are coming back, because I know I had a few at the very beginning, and as we've been on this for a while, we may have a few answers that you don't have. So feel free to drop any questions in the channel, and we'll try and endeavour to get to them at the end, or ignore the ones we don't know the answer to. No, we won't ignore the ones we don't know the answer to, but we'll give you the proper response that we can back. Over to you, Heather.
Great, thank you so much. So we talk about this agent explosion, and what it is that AI agents are coming really, really fast. So IDC says there will be 1.3 billion agents in production by 2028. So for context, there's around 8 billion people on the planet. I think that's an amazing number, right? And what's interesting with agents is for those of you that have been in the Power Platform journey a long time, you may know that they started out, we just thought of them as chatbots, but they're not. You know, now they do so much more, and the capability is really amazing. They read our data, they make decisions, they take actions, and sometimes they do that autonomously. And so just think about this. If I asked you right now how many agents are running in your environment, is that something that you could answer? Let's go to the next slide. And so what what we're talking about today is our organizations ready for this change, right? We've got AI agents proliferating across environments. We've got most of the organizations that we work with have limited visibility into what those agents are doing or how they're being governed. So we go in and this goes beyond just what's in your state, right? And think about, can IT track and monitor every agent that's running in our environment? Are the agents protected? Do we know that they're not pushing out sensitive data somewhere? And do we have the proper guardrails for agents and for the people who interact with them? I say it a million times, most data breaches or security leaks, they're on accident. It's somebody trying to do a good thing who just doesn't have the knowledge or education to do that in a safe and secure manner. So when we go to the next slide, I think this is really interesting, right? It's a new surface that we have to start looking at. Agents come into play and they introduce entirely new attack vectors, right? New ways that we can be compromised. And that can be through prompts. It can be through AI models, plugins, orchestration layers, even our external data connectors. And we still have our existing surfaces, right? We have our identities, our endpoints, data, networks. That work doesn't go away. So it's not that it replaced something we're doing. It's that it's actually adding to the surfaces in which we can be attacked. Agents behave like users. So just like somebody sitting on their laptop, an agent can read data, it can take actions, and it can make decisions. But unlike users, most of our agents don't have any identity, they don't have any audit trail, and there's no oversight with it, right? Your security teams are probably already stretched, and agents without governance just adds unmanaged risk to a job that's already difficult. I'll hand it over to you, Chris, to lead us into the next section.
Yeah, no problem. And just a bit of a view there that already kind of automation failed, as you can see in the title. So we definitely need governance and quality assurance on our slides because AI did that wrong. So the challenge, that is the challenge, basically. That is the agent challenge, and the one that pretty much we've been gifted from the turn on of agents that has happened over the past year or so, and the fact that as IT teams we haven't actually had these tool sets to help us. So that's led to an environment, especially within the M365, where they're all turned on by default, right? So they're all there, sat there, potentially ready to go rogue whenever we want to. So we kind of have to start to think about retrofitting, and that will kind of pass over to Kamal. But retrofitting the policies and rules that we put on just the ability to be able to create what agents are. But let's, at this point, look at what Microsoft have built to solve it. And that is Agent 365. They're pulling together all of those threads into one tool to give us answers in a screen so we can make actions a lot quicker. So the things that we're framing here and what it's going to give us insights into are things like who approved this agent. So that's the governance bit. At the moment, nobody might be approving your agent. They might be there and people are connecting to it and away they go. What data did it access when it was approved and gone through, or they've connected to it? So it's that observability that Agent 365 has been designed to give us over those agents. And can you see it and shut it down if there was an issue? So those security questions that we've got, are these agents risky? Are they accessing data that we're not happy with? Is there a prompt running or an instruction running on those agents that we're concerned with? So that security element giving us an opportunity to be able to shut them down really quickly, which I think might be key for a lot of you at the moment. I know a lot of my customers are kind of really happy to hear that there's a block function now that you can go straight into, but not just giving you the block function, it's giving you all the information you need to be able to make an informed block. So you're not just blocking on a whim, which I would do anyway, to be fair, but it's going to keep you a lot safer. So let's think of it this way. You wouldn't let a new employee wander your building with unrestricted access and no manager And that is basically how we should be viewing our agents as well. So Agent 365 is that observe, govern, and secure overview that we've got. This is the centerpiece. So we've got full visibility into every agent that exists, which exist, how they're used, performance and risk signals. You can't govern what you can't see, right? And those agents would include agents such as third-party agents that might be published by Adobe or Box or companies like that, or CRM systems that you're connecting into. They might be Azure Foundry agents that sit on that platform, gives us visibility into those. And for mine and Heather's team, those Copilot studio agents that we built, it also gives us insight into those. So an admin can sit there and watch everything in one place. It's going to give us those agent maps, those agent analytics, which ones are they connecting to, and a bit of a role-specific oversight. So the future look is that you don't need an IT admin to look at the governance side. You could give that role to one of your governance team to be able to specifically look at the governance of agents. So again, you can start to split out those role-based roles that we're now going to have on admin to deliver these things. So the govern bit is you get to set the guardrails, which was missing from the start, right? So we get to set the policies, who can access the agent. How are we onboarding that agent? Do we need to do an InfoSec review? Do we need to look at where it's processing data before we allow access to it? We need to give it that Entra ID identity. We need to give it a life cycle management. So does it have an owner? If it doesn't have an owner, do we retire it? All of those things, which kind of takes me again back to that Teams journey we were on and the mess they made. So it's who is accountable for that agent? Because if no one is, it becomes a security risk. So within this panel also, we've got audit and logging, and we also get to see data compliance. So those data sources that agents might be connecting to that we didn't know were connecting to that data and which we've got a problem with, right? And it's kind of, it might have slipped down a gap in our SharePoint permission project that we've been doing. And then to secure, so we protect these things by the design. So give agents real identities, as I was saying, that agent ID, prevent oversharing, set context-aware access policies on them, and defend against those threats with that enterprise-grade security that we've already got within the M365 gift of suite. So within Purview, within Defender, we get to kind of apply all of those rules like we would do a person, but to the agents. And Agent 365 is given us that lovely window into all of that. This is just a bit of a placeholder slide, but it's key for the way we architect things in our team, and the way that I know Kamal likes to look at kind of security, is that you need to give people that space to be able to be creative, but it still needs to be in a secure, tidy place. Otherwise, yeah, it's going to cause you a bother. So without identity, oversight, and audit, every new agent is unmanaged and risked, and that's how we should treat them. And most security teams will, and rightly so, hold it back and not allow it out. So this is where Agent 365 sits, in that center, and why it sits in the E7 center specifically, as you'll see it bundled with E7 licensing, is that it's giving you that tool set, not on the edge, but inside the data that we're inside the tools that we've got already. Moving on, nice and quick, the agent control plane. So just to give a bit more information now, actually on Agent 365 as an ecosystem. So Agent 365 isn't just about Microsoft's own agents as well. It governs agents from across the ecosystem, third party and custom built alike. Basically what I've just described before that. But it gives you a bit of an overview of all of the things that's going to give you insights into. So you can see Microsoft 365 Copilot there, but you also see Ignite and Zendesk on there too. So you don't need to go through every logo, but to point out that all of these are available now for you to be able to connect to and control in that admin console. You have got visibility. a bit of a view of that observability panel that exists within Agent 365. So when you turn it on, and where you find this is in the M365 admin portal on the left-hand side there. It'll have a different logo if you haven't bought the skill at the moment, or the SKU, but it will sit there under agents. And then under all agents, it's where it's going to list you all of those agents that are available now, the status of them. You can filter them by channel ID, who's built them, platform. So it gives you some nice, real in-depth insight into those agents, how many times they've been used, when it was last accessed, and all of that you can download into an Excel spreadsheet to take that further. But it gives you all of that information that you need in one panel in real time. Then we go into the governance section. So within settings within there, this is where we can establish the guardrails for agents. And to be fair, this is what I'd have loved like a year or so ago, where before those agents were turned on, I'd had the rules already set. So we build out all of those rules. For example, me, Heather, and Kamal have access to Frontier agents, and we get access to that via a group. Otherwise, it's blocked, so only we can install it. Or there's an Adobe agent that you need marketing to have access to, but only marketing. So you can build those rules around that to be able to make sure that you're starting on a clean slate, as it were. So, and at that point, they're all audit ready, and you've got them all built within with compliance and data retention thought of. So yeah, giving you some nice granular access into those rules. At this point, I'm going to pass over to Kamal because he's the secure guy.
Thank you. Thanks, Chris. Can you hear me okay?
All good.
Thanks. So if you listen to Chris so far, you know that Microsoft's answer to answering how many AI agents are running in my tenant right now, not just the ones that you have built, but every single one, including the ones that nobody approved. The answer is Agent 365. Advantage we have with Agent 365 is that the control plane built on 3 pillars that we already know, that we already are familiar. That's based on Microsoft Entra, Microsoft Purview, and Microsoft Defender. And each extended to like treat agents as first-class citizens and not as background processors. And Chris mentioned earlier as well, like, you know, I think in summary, Agent 365 is being created as a frictionless security in mind, because, you know, and I think we know traditionally security is seen as a kind of a blocker in most cases, and but in the modern era where, you know, AI is left, right, and center, that we don't really want to use security as a kind of a blocker. Hence the reason why even during my intro, kind of, I mentioned that I'm a net promoter of security rather than a net blocker. So if you can move on to the next slide, Chris, please. So permission overview. Now, at any time, you know, we need to be able to basically approve, review, and revoke the permission. This is already being kind of baked into Agent 365 control plane. You have the complete control. If you really want to approve something or review something or revoke the permission, Chris mentioned earlier as well, regarding revoking the permission, and you can see that there is a toggle on the screenshot that, you know, given in the slide, that you can move that toggle to left, right, and that basically, you know, manage the, you know, approval, reviewal, and the revoking of the permission per access right as well. So what's great about permission is that it shows what the agent is actually allowed to access and act on during a runtime. Even if an agent knows about the data, permission determine whether the agent can actually use it. If you look at the screenshot once again, and let's look at the application permission section. Here you can see that the permission this agent has. So this is agent's access control. If you look at the delegated permission area, you can see that the permissions the agent has, which it can use to work on behalf of the user, behalf of the end user. Also, we have not captured on this particular screenshot, but if you look at the right-hand side, that there is another kind of a tab there next to the permissions called Activity tab. And in here, you will be able to see all the adoption details of the agent. What that means is you will be able to see like number of active users, number of active sessions, and Chris did mention earlier. So these are the kind of the information you can use to your advantage in making when you're making decision. Do I have to entertain this particular agent? Is it being used by majority of the users in your ecosystem? And are they actually basically becoming a risk into your environment? All that information is available under activity as well. Chris, if you can move to the next slide, please. I did mention that Agent 365 is wrapped around the technologies that we already know. So, identity is at the kind of at the epicenter, but Microsoft is using Microsoft Purview to protect the data and governance around Agent 365 as well. So data and tools in here represent the agent's capabilities and context, what data it can access, and how it's equipped to reason and act. Now here, what you can see is that, right in the middle of that screenshot that we have taken, the data sources and the tools that are configured or accessed by this particular agent in this example, right? So what it gives is, it gives the IT teams a centralized visibility and governance without changing how the agents are being built. You may ask, like, why is this important? Every action that agent can take on your data is a data security event. Whether that is reading, summarizing, labeling, or exporting, every single action an agent is taking in that ecosystem is a data security event, and that can become a risk itself. So we got to basically govern, and you can see that Agent 365 provide enough information there in a single glass of plane to basically make those educated decisions. Chris, if you can move to the next one, please. So in here, what I really want to kind of touch on is that agents need the same assume breach mindset as endpoints and identities. We have been talking for a while longer that, our endpoints and identities, every time when we deal with them, we need to have that assume breach mindset, because they can be hijacked, manipulated, or simply misbehave. Same is true for agents. And these agents, if an attacker, or even sometimes by internal, parties that who have certain, interventions that they want to basically do something harmful, they can hijack, manipulate, or use the agent to basically simply misbehave by using really simple things like prompt hijacking, or other the technologies that the cyber the hackers that use. So it is really important that we cover the posture security as well. And this is where Microsoft is basically introducing Microsoft Defender, a subset of Microsoft Defender alongside Agent 365 to bring continuous detection to agent behaviors. Why this matters? Because it helps to detect and prevent the agentic, equivalent of like lateral movement. As an example, agent can suddenly touch data or services outside of its normal pattern. When that happens, we need to know, it needs to be visible. You need to make a decision. And the only way you can make that decision is when you have that information right in front of you. So that's what Agent 365 does. So another quick recent update that I kind of came across last couple of weeks was that I don't know if this audience is aware that Microsoft Entra's Internet and Private Access Control now extend to agent traffic as well. What that means is, Microsoft Global Secure Access is now fully compliant with Agent 365 capabilities. So your security teams can now see and govern where agents connect, not only when they are inside an app, when they are outside, so on any kind of touch point. So that's a kind of a really plus point. And what I will do is, like, I'll wrap up here with one last statement. So before you think about rolling any new agents, my ask is that, ask yourself, can you produce an inventory of the agents you already have within your tenant? If the honest answer to that question is no, that's where your Agent 365 journey begins. And with that, I'll pass over to Chris.
How do I follow that? That's the most important bit. It's the most important bit, but it's true. I think that the other things to be cognizant of as well is that, I can't forget, did he come out in May, Agent 365? So with just being around agents, May, wasn't it? Just being around agents and things like that over the past, well, I'm sure you're all aware, just the speed of which development and changes are happening. This, for me, seems like the place that they're going to load up with everything that they bring up for, and for that visibility thing that Kamal was saying, that, if they'll try and bring as much visibility into this panel, so you've got as much information as you can in order to make informed decisions around agents and agentic behavior. Let me move on. Right, so take quick action. So the next few bits are just some screen recordings that I've magically done that kind of just gives a bit of an overview of some of the things that you can do as of today, which will probably help you out quickly. They're my key picks, and hopefully that should, is running. I've done something good, Heather. I've done something good. The screen is moving. So this is something that I've given this my own name. It's called Easy Block, but it basically it's easy to block things. And this is giving a bit of an overview of the all agents panel. So for example, there you've got the risky agents that come up, and they're based on all of that risky policies that you might have in Defender or anything that you might have running in those panels. Then it becomes available in here. I can quickly go in there, and through those panels that Kamal has gone through, I can make an assessment as to whether I need to make instant kind of decision on all of that and go and block it. And that is literally just top left there. I go and hit the block panel. So no waiting around and filtering through lots of stuff. I can quickly make a decision. But if also that doesn't have to sit in risky, so you might not have Defender running, you might be just looking in the agents panel going, oh my goodness, I've got all of this stuff. You can go into your agents there and the same window appears, block appears there too. But just make sure that you're informed that you're blocking agents that aren't going to impact somebody's day. And again, as I've said earlier, this does show up Copilot Studio agents. And this is where I've had conversations with the team, with me and Heather and that, because we've got agent builders that sit within the Power Platform. They might not look at M365 admin. So there might be a bit of a role address there that you've got tenant admins and Power Platform admins that need to be talking a lot more. Otherwise, you might be blocking something that is production and already in hand. So just a few key points, but it does make the job a lot easier there. That's giving you, again, it's pretty much the same view. Being able to see those risky agents based off the scores that it gives you really does give you that informed reaction to blocking anything. But yeah, not to be fooled, you don't set those levels in here or those policies. They are set in Defender, right? They are set in Purview. They are Kamal's bag. So they need to be sat there running. It just gives you that ability to view them here and take those risky agents and get rid of them. Oh, skip one. Oh, I've shown you the pretty one. This is the other one, and I've assing. Why have I called it assing an owner? Again, we need to have a word with my AI there to do that. But assign an owner, that should be. So again, like we are in Teams, is it playing there? It probably isn't. Let me play it again. We can go through, open up, and at the top left there, we can see there that we can go in and actually select the owner, and they aren't groups. That it does need that accountable owner, that user identity that will have ownership of that agent. But again, nice and quick. And all these are APIs that are connectable, but these are the things that we should be checking out now. So the agent map, which looks pretty, but it also for people like me really does help, because just lists of names of agents and things like that for me can be overwhelming. I could see it as a picture and see it as like the attack surfaces that are potential for you. For me, straight away, gives me an oversight of the potential danger that we might be in. So, for example, if we've got an agent that's built in Copilot Studio and that's talking to an agent on the Foundry, then it's going to show me that link to that Foundry agent that I can then go to straight away in my as I'm kind of assessing the threat and seeing what action is happening there, in which case I could probably jump to the Azure agent and sort something out there. But it's given you that interconnected view that basically agentic use is going to be, right? It's not going to be just one agent. It's going to be 4 agents talking to each other, 5 agents talking to each other. And this really gives you a view of the map of what you've got in your environment. So that looks pretty, but it really is helpful for me to enable to come up with a bit of a output from that. And these are the agent requests that we get now. So really, this should have been from the start as well. We want users not just to be able to add an agent that is possible now. We want them to be able to click on it and then that go to not just an IT admin. This could also be a business lead. This could be the head of a department, right? In the future, that's where it's headed. They can then look at that request, and then within what's available to them in that view, they'll be able to make some form of informed decision as to the security risk on that. You could accept it at that point, and then all of those policies that you've created, you apply at that point. So straight away, you've got a workflow that an agent can go through to become live and out there, because we're seeing that a lot. I know that we haven't quite, well, we've formed that area in IT that can now handle these agents, because as soon as you start not reacting to these and people wanting to do stuff, that's when also you get shadow IT, right? In the fact that they'll go somewhere else to do it. So this needs to be really slick in the way that we're either allowing or denying agents within the workflow. But again, we can do it with security.
Chris, if I add something in there that, Microsoft is using Microsoft Entra capabilities to help and support these sort of activities. So what I really want to kind of highlight here is the entitlement management capabilities. The way we introduce these sort of capabilities to our user base would be via Entra access packages, which are basically, 100% compliant with Agent 365 capabilities now. So one uniform governance method for human identities and non-human identities as well.
Perfect. And then I think that's over 20 questions that you might have. And I think there has been one, which is a complicated one. But so and this is my opinion, and Kamal and Heather, ping me if I'm wrong, but so this is an IT tool, right? So this can be used by IT to kind of look at the agents in the estate and be able to control and look and govern an admin. In actual fact, it could be for the governance team. It could be for the compliance team and things like that. However, the other future that seems to be the pattern here is that as a team leader, as the head of finance, then I might also have a license for this, because I will be building agents myself for my team to do. It won't be IT building them. It'll be me building them. And being able to see myself and have an accountability as a department lead, then that's important. And that's important to the licensing too, because it's down to the identity. So if an identity has built an agent, really you need that person to have a Agent 365 license to be able to understand what's going with their agents that they're building and with their identity. So it isn't just an a license that will then just enable you to cover everything. You need to kind of think about giving this to people that are building agents as well as those IT admins that are in there. Was that a question that was brought up? Sorry, Heather, I think it was, wasn't it? How do you need? Yeah, so I think that's where I'm coming to it. And I think over the coming weeks, that's going to become clearer from Microsoft. Sorry, Kamal, you might have a bit more.
I did add I added a response to that question as well. I think what we can do, Chris, is like give a couple of scenarios here as well. Like as an example, if an organization has a single admin only managing Agent 365 and no other users are interacting with agents, in that particular scenario, the official kind of angle is that you only need one E7 or Agent 365 license in order to basically, work with a 365 capabilities. But if an organization has multiple users, like a dev team, creating, owning, managing, or using A365, then every single one of those individuals in that team or multiple users would require Agent 365 or E7 licensing. So there are kind of like a clear distinction between kind of use cases as well here.
Cool. So I was kind of right.
Yeah, you're right.
Which was good. But so, for example, we've done a demo of Agent 365 at an event we've been at recently. And yeah, you can see everything with that admin with one license, but it isn't all about that. As you can see, it's the accountability bit and the management bit, and it won't be just one person managing those things or building things, right? So yeah, it's any other questions? Anything?
Yeah, there's actually a question in chat from Den about the personal agents that people create in Copilot chat that are not shareable across the org.
Yeah, so they're still visible, those declarative agents. So those agents that are in that, they're the ones that are created in chat or actually in Microsoft 365. So those declarative agents. So every agent is visible within there and manageable, but obviously have less threat because just being a declarative agent, you'll be using an internal data source. You won't be creating any actions, but it still will pull back purview insight into the data you're connecting to and think they're just as much as a risk, I guess, Kamal, aren't they? Those just the data is wrong. Yeah.
And the other thing I think we need to remind is like if it is a individual agent someone has created to get certain activities done, that will remain as a private agent as well. Like it's not visible to the organization unless it's intentionally shared. So there are kind of two demographics here.
But those agents do appear in the admin portal, right? So other people can't see, but your admins can.
Yeah. And those purview, capabilities that we use to manage data governance with human identities or citizens in environments are still kind of valid for non-citizen entities like agents as well. Yeah. So you can simply adapt the same sort of processes and procedures to help, govern and secure agents in the environment.
Cool. Any more for any more? Have we exhausted? I think we might have exhausted. But yeah, as I said at the top of this, I think this is just going to grow. So it might be that in 6 months we have another webinar that kind of gives a completely additional chat about capabilities in there. Yeah.
Yeah, I think we will do a deep dive anyway a couple of months later when there's a lot more information around A365 is available. This is like a intro session into A365.
Fab. Well, I hope it has been useful. I hope it's given some insights as to what it can do and what it's there for. But thank you.
Awesome.
very
Thank
much.
you so much, everyone. We really appreciate you coming.